Wahrlich, ich sage euch, hier wird kein Stein auf dem anderen bleiben, der nicht abgebrochen wird.
Well, there's nothing to stop the Israelis from building a third temple. But there is an obstacle, however. And of course, that obstacle is the Temple Mount, the Dome of the Rock, and the mosque to the south of the Dome of the Rock. Jews and Christians are wondering, how can that temple be built while the Muslims occupy the Temple Mount? However, with new archaeological findings and people really looking into history and the Bible, looking into the biblical texts, and actually going around Jerusalem, looking at the old sites, and documentaries have now come out, at least 2 or 3 of them have come out, showing that the temple never really stood on the Temple Mount. That when Solomon and when they rebuilt it in the time of Ezra and Nehemiah and so on, they found that the Temple Mount was not the original site of the temple of Solomon and Ezra and Zerubbabel and so on. That the site was actually somewhere else, and that the belief that the temple stood on the Temple Mount is all based on tradition and medieval tradition, and tradition is very, very strong. People don't like to depart from tradition. And, you know, people get all upset when you even think about another site for the temple. But as people say today, facts really don't care about your feelings. And it's up to people to accept the facts and leave tradition aside and just deal with the facts. The facts are that the temple of God did not sit on the Temple Mount, that it was actually south of that on the hill called Ophel. And there are scriptures in the Bible that show that the temple was actually south of Mount Moriah on the hill called Ophel, and that the temple was in the city of David. When you look at Old Testament scriptures, you see that the city of David and Zion and the temple all mean pretty much the same thing, that the temple stood in the city of David, and it actually says it sat to the north in the city of David. And it was, of course, on the hill called Ophel, the threshing floor of Onan, and there is no evidence of a threshing floor on the Temple Mount. A threshing floor is a flat surface, and there is no flat surface on the Temple Mount. Those walls that are around the Temple Mount were served as retaining walls, and it was built up that platform. There is no flat platform. If you strip it all down, there is no flat platform on the Temple Mount. But Ophel, when you look at topological graphs, you see that the hill of Ophel is flat and was used as a threshing floor. And in the book of Psalms, it says that it was to the north in the city of David, to the north. And we see not one stone left upon another in the hill called Ophel. Jesus' prophecy rings true, and it was fulfilled by Titus in 70 AD. And of course, that prophecy of Daniel, the 9th chapter, verse 27, was talking about Titus destroying the temple, and not one stone was left atop another that was not thrown down, and Jesus' prophecy was accurate. Jesus Christ of Nazareth, when he died, in Matthew the 27th chapter, it says in verse 54 that the centurion, when they watched Jesus, they saw the earthquake, and all these things that were done, feared greatly, saying, this truly was the Son of God. They saw all these things happen, of the graves splitting open and bodies coming out of the graves, verse 52 and 53. And verse 51, it says, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks were rent. So the centurion Where Jesus was crucified, the centurion can look right into the temple and see the temple veil be split in two from top to bottom. So the temple faced east, and from the Mount of Olives you could look right into the temple. So that this shows that Jesus Christ of Nazareth was crucified on the Mount of Olives.
Lasst euch nicht so schnell in eurem Verständnis erschüttern oder gar in Schrecken jagen, weder durch einen Geist, noch durch ein Wort, noch durch einen angeblich von uns stammenden Brief, als wäre der Tag des Christus schon da. Lasst euch von niemand in irgendeiner Weise verführen. Denn es muss unbedingt zuerst der Abfall kommen. Und der Mensch der Sünde geoffenbart werden, der Sohn des Verderbens, der sich widersetzt und sich über alles erhebt, was Gott oder Gegenstand der Verehrung heißt, so dass er sich in den Tempel Gottes setzt als ein Gott, und sich selbst für Gott ausgibt.
And the hand of God was upon the prophet Ezekiel, and he brought him from Babylon to Jerusalem, and placed him on a high mountain. There he was shown a vision of the future temple that will bring peace and harmony to the world. In the vision, an angel spoke to Ezekiel and said, "Son of man, pay attention to all that I am about to show you, and teach it to the house of Israel." The angel took Ezekiel through the entire temple and measured its chambers and courtyards, its walls and its gates. The future temple is built in the form of a man. The temple building is his head and shoulders. The inner courtyard is his body, with the great altar his heart and his stomach. In the outer courtyard stand 4 great chambers. The upper chambers are his arms, and the lower chambers his legs. Surrounding him is the Temple Mount, his holy space. The Temple Mount of the future temple will be 36 times larger than that of Solomon's temple, or the second temple, nearly 1.5 square miles, large enough to comfortably hold 2 million people.